Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, Catchy Virus. Today we are going to be looking at the interior design for the Tudor home I've been building. Normally, I don't do classic interior design, even if the exterior looks older. I'm fond of a modern, clean look, so I find it more difficult to do builds that are older looking, particularly if it's inside, you know? But today, you guys are in luck. I tried my best to keep it from looking way too modern, and I hope you agree. One more thing before we truly get into this build. I was originally going to do this in two parts, but now that I've started editing the video, I've realized that the interior portion is way too long to be a single part. I'm most likely not going to record VO for the third video. Over the last week or so, I've been dealing with a horrible migraine and been throwing up for hours and hours, and since then I've had a terrible heartburn, and now it feels like I'm coming down with a cold since my throat is hurting a wee bit. Well, I hope it's a cold. But it's safe to say I'm really not feeling good. However, I'll find some relaxing music for it, and hopefully you'll find it as relaxing as my voice. Don't know how relaxing that is. So, to begin, I was just a little intimidated by the build and how I should furnish it. I wanted to get the layout just right before moving on to decorating the rooms and such. The garage was definitely the easiest place to start with for placing objects down, because I wanted it to look like it was like a hobby room. You can come down here, you can paint a little, you can box a little, you can make some wood shizness for your family, whatnot, you know? I was actually planning for this build to be less of a home and more of a museum. By the end of it, I made it a functional home without the little details I would have added if it was a museum. If I decide to transform it into a museum when I get back into the game, I'll do that and I'll just add it to the gallery as well. You know, one thing, I honestly think that they need to have more traditional looking wallpapers. I was taken aback by how little choices I really had for the house. Obviously, I wanted to wallpaper each and every room. I think that just makes sense for the sort of feel I'm going for. But there seriously was so few matching wallpapers that had the same trim to them. Whenever I've been in an older home in real life, the trim doesn't change much from room to room, and I wanted to keep true to that in the build. I only really had 3 or 4 wallpapers to choose from. One aspect of the wallpaper I did like was how bright the colors were. One time I went to George Washington's house in or near DC, or whatever, Mount Vermont or whatever. I don't know, I'm not American. Anyways, I was surprised by how color coordinated his rooms were. And ever since then, I've always associated brightly colored coordinated rooms or brightly colored rooms with older homes. I'm sure a lot of people do this, but I like to place temporary items into rooms so it's easier to remember what I want them to be. This is helpful because I tend to take breaks when building. In this build, I wanted a 3-bedroom situation upstairs, for sure, as well as a study. The layout of the upstairs left this weirdly shaped small room, so I decided to make it a non-functional storage closet. I wish there was a way to make shelves like this without that horrible glitch effect from merging the objects together. I really can't stand the look of that glitch. I despise that glitch. I strongly dislike it when I see objects flashing in play mode, or even in build mode, to be honest. I'm not sure how some of you deal with it. Y'all have strong minds to deal with that glitch. Another glitch I hate is that giant dark shadow that appears when you size down some objects. It's like, stop. I just want to use you and love you. Why do you ruin yourself? Come on, bruh. This house definitely needed a bar in the living room. Every house needs a bar in the living room. Heck, if I could, I would have a bar in my living room. But my living room is a tiny. I was going to make the build an off-the-grid lot, but I decided against it because I wanted an easier time making the washrooms. But I did keep some aspects to the off-the-grid look to this beautiful home. For example, eventually I changed out the lights and I put in more like older looking lights and stuff like that. I just kept trying to make it look old-timey. Is there a petition for better curtains? The sim gurus really need to step up their game on the curtains that they give us. None of them are very attractive looking, and I find that it's hard to fit them in, whether it be style-wise or literally because it doesn't fit the window. Even if you size it up or down, like it just doesn't fit. I've heard reports about Sims 5 early release 2021 and everything and how it's going to be and look, but like one thing that needs to be better are the frickin' curtains, okay? The curtains, bro. Sim gurus, if you are watching, which I doubt you are, step up your curtain game. I like those little details I added to the outside of the house, including the window coverings, the wheelbarrow with the flowers, and that little wooden structure out of the back door. It definitely adds more depth to the build and elevates it from a boxy looking house to a beautiful old-timey home. Honestly, I was not sure what I was going to do in the foyer. It's pretty large and in charge near the front door, but it lacks a purpose. That is probably why it took me a long time to finish the interior of this house. I wasn't sure of any of my ideas, and the only clear thing to me was really the garage and like maybe the living room and how those two rooms were going to look and feel. Other than that, I had no clue. The living room is now coming along. I think using objects that have the same wood color helps age the home, particularly if the wood is like an orangey color like how I used it here. That probably has something to do with the fact that I only use white or light or dark brown or black for modern builds, so this is sort of like the opposite of that in a way. The high back armchairs from the vampire pack, I believe, is adorable. While I do wish there was better color swatches for it, I quite like how it looks. The style is definitely something you'd see in an older home. I just like how it takes up most of the space on that wall. It's sort of like a chair, a decoration, all wrapped up into one high-backed armchair. It also kind of looks like a bonnet, like at the top part of it, which, you know, fits with this home still, so cool. The living room is really coming along now. I would like to thank Realm of Magic, Get Together, Vampires, and Strangerville for all of their contributions to make this house a home. It's really those packs, though, that are carrying this house to its full potential. I believe it was at this point where I decided I needed to redo the lighting situation and make it look like it was made for how the furniture was set up. I didn't want to work in any more dark corners for any longer. Also, moving the bar setup to the middle of that wall just made sense to me. I prefer it when things are placed to look more symmetrical. That's actually how I tend to place my windows as well. I'm kind of like, it makes my brain happy seeing it all like perfectly symmetrical and nice looking. There were way too many hanging lights everywhere. I didn't think that looked great. I prefer the way the wall lights look, particularly these ones in this house. I think that's a good tip for making a Tudor home. You need wall lights like the ones I used. I believe the hanging lights would be only really for above the dining room table and maybe in the living room, but not scattered throughout the house everywhere, and definitely not like 15 in the foyer, you know what I'm saying? Like definitely not. Maybe one in the foyer, not 15. And it was at this point I changed my mind. This build was no longer a museum, but rather a home. The key aspect to decorating a home so it looks older would be to truly embrace the mindset of that. What would the decorations look like? Tapestries? Yes. Old-timey photos of old-looking buildings? Yes. Creepy photos of relatives? For sure. The house needs to be the opposite of open. Open floor plan? Girlfriend. Having smaller enclosed rooms will age the build. Adding storage units made for china dishes is another way to automatically age it. The good thing about some of the sim paintings would be the fact that they can go well for modern or older looking builds. They're very versatile in that sense. You just need to change the color of the frame and that helps a ton. Instead of black or white, try various other wood colors. And honestly, that is my secret for making older houses, is that instead of just like basic colors that I normally do, so like grays, white, black, the lighter wood, or the very dark wood, I try to expand. I try to add more prints in. Having extra prints in the room will make it look more like cluttered in a way, but it will help with what you're trying to do with the style. So like in the living room, there's like the prints on the chairs and the couches and stuff, and it's also different on the walls, and the curtains look different, print on the coffee table and whatnot and so forth. And and there's also print like a design on the window frame, and yeah, like that just definitely, like, adding way more clutters it and makes it look older, in my opinion at least. I don't know. There are definitely a lot of good objects you can get from various packs in The Sims 2. Like, make it look like an older home. Like, they've definitely focused on that in a few of them, and that helps us out, It really does. Okay, well, that's it, folks. My throat is killing me. I hope you liked this video, and stay tuned for the third and final part of the Tudor build. If you have any build suggestions, please leave a comment. I would love to build something you peeps want to see. Thanks for watching, and bye!